Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Today in the rLounge, the takeaway is clear. You can't act your way into being a grown-up. Kids always know who's really there for them and who's just clowning around. Cheating ex banned me from attending my daughter's birthday, so I exposed her affair during the party and got full custody. Her sister reached out and told me everything directly. No build-up, no gentle conversation. Just straight up said her sister had been seeing someone for 7 months before I even filed for separation. The guy was from her gym. I sat there trying to process what I was hearing because the timeline made everything make sense in the worst way possible. All those evenings she claimed she needed alone time or was meeting friends. The sudden obsession with working out. New clothes, different perfume. It all lined up. I sent her a message that night, laid out exactly what I knew and who told me. She went nuclear on her sister first, calling her every name in the book. Then came the excuses about how it just happened, and she didn't mean for things to get this far. I asked her straight up if our daughter knew this guy. She said yes. That hit different. Some random man had been around my kid without my knowledge or consent while we were still married. I contacted someone who handles family cases and laid everything out. Got told to document everything. Kept records of every interaction. Stayed calm and collected. The affair itself wouldn't automatically change custody arrangements, but if I could prove it affected our daughter or showed poor judgment, it would matter. Started keeping detailed notes of everything from that point forward. She moved in with Gym Guy pretty quickly after that. Our daughter started mentioning this friend of mommy's who had a big TV and let her stay up late. I asked careful questions without being obvious about it. Found out he'd been at their place multiple times during her custody days, sometimes staying overnight. I wrote all of it down. When I picked up our daughter for my week, she looked exhausted. Asked if she was sleeping okay at mommy's new place. She said the walls were thin and she could hear yelling sometimes. Every detail went into my documentation. Our daughter's 8th birthday was coming up in a couple of months. We'd always done joint parties, every single year since she was born. I sent a message asking about coordinating plans. Got left on red for 3 days straight. When she responded, she said she was handling the party this year. I asked what that meant exactly. She said it meant what it sounded like. I said I wanted to be involved in planning. She told me to back off and let her handle it. About a week later, I got a message with all the party details. Date, time, location at some indoor play place. Then came the part that made my blood boil. She wrote that it was her custody weekend and I wasn't invited. Said I could celebrate with our daughter on my own time. I responded immediately. Told her she couldn't ban me from my own daughter's birthday party. She said to watch her. She said if I showed up, she'd have me removed. I never missed a single birthday. She said there's a first time for everything. Called our daughter a few days later just to check in. Asked what she wanted for her birthday. She got quiet and then asked why I wasn't coming to her birthday party. My heart sank. Told her I wanted to come very much. She said mommy told her I was busy that day. I had to bite my tongue hard. Told her I loved her and we'd figure something out. I wasn't going to just accept this. If she wanted to play games, fine. I hired someone to look up into the Gym Guy. Full background check, social media deep dive, everything. Cost me a decent amount, but I needed to know who was around my kid. The report came back with some interesting findings. 2 DUIs from about 6 years ago. Nothing recent, but still concerning. He also had an ex who'd filed a restraining order that was later dropped. His social media was all public. Lots of party photos with drinks in almost every single one. I took screenshots of everything. During a video call with our daughter, she mentioned that mommy's friend gets really loud when he drinks. I asked her to tell me more about that. She said he talks really loud and uses bad words. Asked what kind of words. She wouldn't say, just that mommy told her not to repeat them. That conversation got added to my growing file of documentation. I tried one more time to be reasonable. Sent a long message about how our daughter needed both parents at her party and how we should be putting aside whatever issues we had for one day. Her response was that I lost that right to make demands when I walked out. For the record, I left because she'd checked out of our marriage months before I physically moved out. But that didn't fit the narrative she was building. She posted about the party planning on social media, all excited about the venue and the theme. Her friends commented about what an amazing mom she was. I wasn't tagged, wasn't mentioned anywhere, like I didn't exist. Our daughter asked again why I couldn't come to the party. This time, she was crying, said all her friends would have both parents there. I told her the truth in a way she could understand, that mommy and I were having a disagreement about it, but I'd still celebrate with her. She asked if I didn't love her anymore. I made the decision then. I was going to that party whether she liked it or not. My daughter shouldn't suffer because her mother wanted to be petty and vindictive. I sent a message saying I'd be there. She replied asking if I wanted to see what happens. Went to the venue about a week before the party. Spoke with the manager and explained the situation. Showed my ID and custody papers proving joint custody. Asked what their policy was if I showed up. They said if I wasn't causing a disturbance, they couldn't remove me from a public event space. She hadn't rented the entire facility, just reserved one of the party areas. That was all I needed to know. She sent another threatening message. Said she was warning me not to embarrass myself. I didn't respond. Let her wonder what I was going to do. I arrived at the venue early that day of the party. Dressed nice, brought a wrapped gift, had my evidence folder locked in my car just in case things went south. Gym guy was already there helping set up decorations. First time seeing him in person. He looked at me, then immediately looked away and went to find her. She came storming over within seconds, started telling me to leave. I stayed calm, said I was here for my daughter. She threatened to call security. I told her to go ahead and do it. The venue manager walked right past then, saw us talking, and gave me a subtle nod. She caught that exchange and her face turned red. Kids started arriving right on schedule. My daughter ran in with one of her friends, saw me standing there, and her whole face lit up. She ran over and hugged me so tight, asked if I was really staying for the party. I said absolutely. The party got going. I stayed toward the back mostly. Some of the other parents said hello, though several looked uncomfortable with the obvious tension in the room. Gym guy kept trying to act like the dad, organizing games, taking photos, being overly enthusiastic about everything. It was performative and desperate to watch. Cake time rolled around and everyone gathered in the party area. Her mom had gym guy standing right next to her like they were the perfect happy family. My daughter kept looking back and forth between where I was standing and where they were. The other parents were doing the uncomfortable thing where nobody knows quite where to look. They brought out the cake and she started giving this speech about how special this year was and new beginnings and all this nonsense. I felt my jaw clenching. Then she said something about people who really matter being there, while I was standing 15 feet away from her. That was it. I walked out to my car and grabbed the folder. Came back inside and waited until she finished her speech. Then I spoke up loud enough for the whole room to hear. Said since we were talking about what really matters, maybe we should talk about how this whole situation actually started. The room went completely silent. Her face lost all of its color, just calmly explaining that while we were still married, she'd been involved with the man standing next to her, that this had been going on for months before our separation, that she'd introduced him to our daughter without my knowledge or approval as a parent. She tried to cut me off and said that this wasn't the time or place. I agreed with her, said it wasn't the time or place, said I'd try to handle this private for months, said I'd begged to be at this party. Then I pulled out this printed pages from the background check, read off his history out loud, the DUIs, the restraining order that was filed. Gym guy stepped forward like he was going to do something, squared up trying to look tough. I didn't move an inch. Just let him make himself look exactly like what he was. A couple of other dads stepped between us. She was crying and screaming at me to get out, calling me insane and unstable. I turned to my daughter, told her I loved her, told her I was sorry she had to see this, but Daddy wasn't going to be pushed around anymore. Then I walked out to my car with the folder still in my hand, left them all standing there. My daughter called from her mom's phone a couple hours later. She was crying and asked why everyone was fighting. Said grown-ups sometimes disagree and that I loved her and none of this was her fault. She asked if she could come stay at my place. I said soon. We were working on it. Woke up the next morning to an email from her legal representation. She was filing for full custody. Claimed I was unstable, that I'd caused a scene in front of children, that I was harassing her new partner. I forwarded the entire email to my guy, along with every single piece of documentation I'd been collecting. Had a long meeting going over everything I had. The affair timeline, the documented instances of Gym Guy being around my daughter, his background check results, her attempts to alienate me from important events. We built a counterfile that made her claims look ridiculous. I filed my own motion, not asking for more custody, asking for primary custody. Cited parental alienation, poor judgment in exposing our daughter to someone with a questionable history, and repeated attempts to exclude me from major life events. First hearing was just procedural stuff. Temporary arrangements stayed the same for now, but I could see her squirming in her seat. Gym Guy wasn't allowed in the courtroom. He waited outside, looking miserable. Our daughter told me during my custody time that she didn't like staying at Mommy's new place. Said it was too loud all the time. Said Gym Guy made her uncomfortable when he was drinking. I asked very carefully if he'd ever done anything to her directly. She said no, but she didn't like how he talked to Mommy or the way he acted. Got a call from my daughter's school. She'd been acting out recently, crying in class. The school counselor wanted to meet with both parents. I said absolutely and confirmed my availability immediately. Her mom didn't respond to the school for 3 days. The school meeting finally happened. The counselor laid it all out. Our daughter was showing clear signs of stress and anxiety. Mentioned she talked about loud fighting at one house and being confused about where she belonged. Her mom tried to blame the whole thing on me and the birthday party incidents. The counselor said this pattern had been building for longer than that. Second hearing had real weight to it. Both sides presented their evidence. I had everything organized. Text message logs, call records, documentation of every attempt I'd made to co-parent reasonably. The background check, statements from the school counselor. She had anger and accusations, but not much substance. Her whole demeanor changed after that hearing. She knew she was losing ground. She started trying to negotiate through her legal team, wanted to settle things outside of a full custody trial. I said no. We were seeing this through to the end. The court assigned an investigator to evaluate both homes. I made sure my place was spotless, had a room set up perfectly for my daughter with everything she needed, cooperated completely with every question they asked. Heard through someone that the visit to her place didn't go smoothly. Gym guy was there and apparently got defensive when asked questions about his role. The preliminary report from the home evaluation was glowing for my environment. Noted that my daughter had her own space, that I was engaged and prepared for full-time parenting. The report on her place noted concerns about stability and the presence of her boyfriend with a questionable background. 2 days later, the decision came down. I got primary custody. 70-30 split. She got every other weekend and one evening during the week. The reasoning in the decision was crystal clear. Parental alienation, poor judgment, unstable living environment. The decision specifically cited her attempts to exclude me from the birthday party as evidence of her inability to co-parent effectively. She absolutely lost it. Sent me every vile thing she could think of through text. I screenshotted everything and forwarded it all to my legal team. Didn't respond to a single message. Just let her bury herself deeper. Update 1. Posted about a week after getting the custody ruling. My daughter moved most of her stuff to my place over the weekend. Watching her arrange things in her room exactly how she wanted them, she seemed lighter somehow. More relaxed than I'd seen her in months. She asked me that night if Mommy was mad at her. Had to explain that Mommy was dealing with adult problems and none of it was her fault. Could tell she didn't fully believe me, but at least she wasn't carrying that weight alone anymore. First drop-off for the weekend visitation happened a few days later. Gym guy was sitting in the passenger seat of the car. Made a mental note, but didn't engage. My daughter hugged me tight before walking to the car. When I picked her up Sunday evening, she was quiet the whole drive home. Finally told me that Mommy cried a lot all weekend and kept saying I ruined everything, that I destroyed their family, 8 years old and being fed that garbage. Her sister reached out again, the one who originally told me about the affair. Said she was cutting contact with her entirely. Apparently the family was fracturing over the whole situation because she kept playing victim and refusing to take responsibility. The birthday party incident had gotten back to their parents, and they were mortified by the whole thing. Her sister said she couldn't watch her manipulate everyone anymore. School started up and I handled all the enrollment paperwork. Met with every teacher, set up the morning and evening routine, got supplies, all of it. She was copied on every email and form per the custody agreement, but didn't respond or show up to any of the orientation events. Her loss meant our daughter had one consistent parent showing up. Word got back to me through someone who knew people in her circle that she and Gym Guy were barely holding it together. The reality of reduced custody meant she actually had to be present and engaged when our daughter was there. And he apparently didn't sign up for that part. The school was doing a fall festival, big event where all the parents come and do activities with the kids. I made sure to be there. She showed up late with Gym Guy trailing behind her. He tried to act like dad of the year, very loud and performative about everything. Other parents gave them a pretty wide berth. Word had clearly gotten around about what went down. She tried to start something with me during pickup that day. Said I'd turned everyone against her and people were treating her differently now. Told her that people formed their own opinions based on her actions, not anything I did. She didn't like that answer. Gym Guy started running his mouth from the car. I ignored him completely and drove away. Third missed visit happened about a month later. That made 3 missed visits in 2 months. My daughter asked me directly if she had to keep going to Mommy's place. Said she'd rather just stay with me all the time. Had to explain that the court ordered said she had to spend some time there, but we might be able to change that soon. She seemed relieved just hearing it that it was a possibility. Filed the modification in early November, cited the repeated missed visits, failure to participate in school events, and documented concerns about the stability of her home environment. Asked for full physical custody with supervised visitation until she could demonstrate consistent engagement. She responded to the filing by showing up at my place unannounced. Started banging on the front door demanding to see our daughter. I didn't open it. Told her through the camera system that if she wanted to see her, she could show up for her scheduled visits instead of missing them. She stood there screaming at the camera for a solid 10 minutes, all ever recorded and saved. My legal team sent her a cease and desist 2 days later. The unannounced visit violated the custody order. She was to communicate only through proper channels and appear only during scheduled times. If she violated it again, we'd seek a restraining order. Thanksgiving rolled around, my year to have our daughter per the custody schedule. We had a quiet day with just us and a couple close friends of mine. She tried calling 17 times throughout the day. Let every single one go to voicemail. Finally sent one text saying per the custody agreement, she's with me today and will be returned Sunday as scheduled. The modification hearing happened at the end of the month. She showed up looking rough. Gym guy wasn't with her this time. She tried to claim she'd been dealing with mental health struggles and needed time to adjust to the new arrangement. The evidence of 3 missed visits and the door banging incident spoke louder than any excuse she could come up with. Modification was granted the next day. I got full physical custody. She got supervised visitation every other Sunday for 4 hours at a neutral location. The supervisor's fees would come out of her pocket. First supervised visit came up about a week later. She actually showed up and engaged with our daughter for the full 4 hours. The supervisor's report said it went smoothly. Second supervised visit, she spent half the time asking our daughter leading questions, asking if she was happy living with me, if she missed living with mommy more. The supervisor caught it and redirected the conversation. She canceled the next visit 2 hours before it was supposed to happen. Said she was sick. The cancellation policy meant she forfeited that time slot and still had to pay the supervisor's fee. My daughter barely reacted when I told her the visit was canceled, just went back to playing with her toys like it didn't matter. Christmas came around. My daughter and I had an incredible day together. She got everything on her list and more. We spent the whole day in pajamas just enjoying each other's company. Did video call with some family members. Introducing some random guy with 2 DUIs and a restraining order while pretending he's part of the family? Bold move. Bold, stupid, and exactly the kind of thing that makes courts shake their heads and hand you primary custody. You can't fake responsibility with grand gestures, Instagram posts, or loud distractions. It's one thing to make mistakes as a parent. We all do. But repeatedly prioritizing your own drama over your child's well-being, hiding critical information, and trying to weaponize your kid's birthday? Nah. Kids see through it. And the one who suffer most are always the children. The end result? Full custody for the more stable, attentive parent. Isn't just vindication. It's what should have been happening all along. In the end, the lesson is simple. Parenting isn't a performance, and you can't put Instagram over integrity. The kids always know who's really there for them. Thoughts? Let us know below. Thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.